Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I'm your captain, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is me skinny rich friend and first mate.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz. Always glad to have you. Always glad to be talking with you in a world of manufactured awesomeness. There's one who rises above all others. His name is Boba Fett, and this is Under the Helmet, the Legacy of Boba Fett. A special celebrating the origins and legacy of Star Wars' legendary bounty hunter, Boba Fett. Directors Bradford Burra and Brian Kwan. It stars Reba Burr, Jeremy Bullock, via archive footage, and Maureen Bullock. I believe Jeremy Bullock was the guy who was most noted for wearing the iconic costume. Maureen Bullock is his wife.
Yes.
And
he's the guy that spent 20 years on the convention circuit.
On the convention circuit,
meeting people, and he was Boba Fett for a while.
He was. He was beloved for the role, and it is a great role. I mean, so there is so much about this, and this is where we get into this question about, like, when did Boba Fett arise? And I found it most fascinating that they actually totally designed all this physical space with the idea that this is going to be the elite stormtrooper. Like, the elite stormtrooper was what is the basis of the entire Mandalorian culture. And they were going to have these special forces stormtroopers that they just never really got off the ground. But I loved when they're going through how they designed this armor and how much of what we think of as this armor was already into it, including the knee rockets. And that, to me, it's like you go all the way back to the 80s and we're going to throw in knee rockets. And it's like, oh, wow, they just thought of that all the way back then. And, like, we never really got to see knee rockets until, like, just recently. Just recently, we got someone actually utilizing the knee rockets. So it's a lot of fun in its own right. Just where we're going with this, and it's just a lot of fun. How you design a character, how you make a character from the start to be what it's going to eventually become. That we can see it as Boba Fett. And one of my favorite aspects of this is just how much of an indie guy George Lucas still was, even after producing, what was at that time the biggest blockbuster in human history. And there's still guys in a garage sort of piecing together, their cosplay for the design to injection mold this Boba Fett costume. And they put all the bells and whistles on it. And then they said, yeah, but when we do the second movie, we're still not going to get that budget. we can't mass produce a Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But then they said, but we're not going to waste a Boba Fett. This was too cool to not use. And the first thing they do is they send Boba Fett into the Marin County parade, because they just happen to be
parade.
Yeah, just like, just the local, hey, here's the Shriners and the Boy Scout, troop 433, and here's Darth Vader and Boba Fett, oh my. And of course, if you were alive at that time, you may even remember going to an event, where Darth Vader and Boba Fett might have shown up, Darth Vader and Chewbacca, that whole time after it came out, where they were doing these promotional tours of the characters at Kmart's and whatnot, back when Kmart was a thing.
But I mean, those people weren't as lucky to actually
Kmart.
see the costumes used on film. These guys got to see the actual film costumes being paraded about. That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. But I just, I love how this character, Boba Fett, sort of grew out of a design. And that's always the thing. Like, people always talk about Boba Fett as this guy who has only so many lines in all of Star Wars. He is a character, and it's there's so little we get for him, but he actually brings the story and the character so much further because he is so cool. It's like, it's just being cool because he doesn't say much, he doesn't do much, he's just there. He's just this guy who clearly is cool, and we just accept it. No, it's good that they've had him step up when needed. Although, arguably, people always said, well, in the movies, he never actually steps up. But we can assume, because he had lived his life and had the reputation at that point, that arguably he has done a lot off screen. And that's the real interesting thing about Boba Fett, is how much they've had to build that off screen world for us. Because we only see this little bit of him, but we know he is really important. And I think that's the thing, is I think that George Lucas and his team, they knew when they made this design, when they made that T-shaped mask, they said, this means something. This is going to be an important piece. Whatever else we're doing, this is something that's going to be of use to us.
I wonder if there's some design philosophy to that T that makes it so easy to be expressive with it. Like, you look at The Mandalorian, maybe it's just because Pedro Pascal is such an amazing actor that he's able to get so much expression out of an expressionless helmet. And I wonder if there's some design philosophy that says there's something to the way our brains respond to that T shape that makes it easier for us to understand the emotion that they're trying to portray.
Well, I'm going to just spitball this for you, but I'm going to say there are a couple of very interesting qualities to the Mandalorian design helmet. And the thing about the T-shape is it connects a face. So you got eyes and a nose.
Right.
And in having an eye and a nose, suddenly how you move these two lines, it becomes a lot more expressive than if you just had two eyes. Two eyes and a mouth is less expressive than effectively one eye and a nose.
You don't get a relative sense of the broader landscape. It's not connected. It's disparate without it.
You also have hard lines, which is another thing that I think is really important on the Mandalorian design. There are hard lines at the sides, and when you're creating these lines in the Mandalorian design, you are actually creating points of reference. There's one of the things about one of the teachers I had when I was doing face drawing, when I was in junior high or whatever, where he said there are not a lot of real lines on a human face. But there's 2 or 3 real lines on a human face. You have your lip, you have basically the bridge of the nose, but that everything else, it's a curve, and it's real hard to draw curves. But what you can do is you can find those lines, and by drawing those lines, you can express things. So in that sense, I think Boba Fett, because it is that line across the eyes, which, first off, gives it that sternness. That sternness that you can't, that whoever this person is, they mean business.
Right.
This isn't, there may be a Gomer Pyle Mandalorian, but, because the Mandalorians also are a culture that embraces clearly stoicism and economy of words, that they are a group that always perpetuates the mythos of, the quiet stranger, I really appreciate what they were able to create with this and how much it infused Star Wars with, again, that ideal that I think no one really knew was going to be there at the time. When you think about Star Wars, you often think about the Akira Kurosawa influences and the samurai influences and that big epic galactic battle. The empires, the battling of empires and the fall of empires and the rise of empires and all of that work. But when you actually really start to break it down, I think where it always finds its strongest footing is in the individualized story of the lone person. That it is the individualized story of Luke. It is the individualized story of Han or Leia, and it is how this one person in this moment, in this very Western style Sergio Leone influence, gives us this idea about standing up for this one place in this one fight. And I think that's a really beautiful thing too. And I think that what's interesting,
and it's
about
always
Boba
a
Fett,
traveling stranger, a stranger who's in town for 2 weeks solving problems, then he's out.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Boba Fett is he actually gives you that individual on the bad guy side. When you think about the stormtroopers, they are invariably just drones. They're literally just pawns to be sent off to whatever they're going to be sent off to. And Boba Fett is a guy like, no, I'm a villain, but I am also more than just a voice behind a mask. I'm more than just
I'm a tide turner. I show up in the tide turns.
Exactly.
I'm your ace in the hole.
Even in Empire Strikes Back, where we get him on Cloud City, it's clear he is the one bounty hunter that is separate from the rest. You can say what you will about all the other races and all the other, Bog Skags, or Boss Skags, and several other people that we get in that line of bounty hunters that they're utilizing. But we can see that the only one that stands right next to Darth Vader is Boba Fett. And so clearly there is a respect between Boba and Darth that I think is so powerful. And they're both these guys in these masks, and they're both these guys with this backstory. And they're also, what I think is most important in that, is they are both people with their own moral codes. Darth Vader is a true Sith Lord in the sense that he is embracing the path of the Sith not for personal aggrandizement. In fact, he has lost so much to the path. But he is embracing the path of the Sith because he truly believes that this power can lead to a better world for everyone. He can end slavery. He can free peoples. He can end the cruelty of the powerful with his Sith judgment. The problem for him is that he must always be the apprentice, and the master is also corrupt. That is the problem, is the dark side is corrupted by the Emperor. And in that sense, I think Boba and Darth maybe find that alliance as two people exploited by this system, that they both believe in something better.
Just that he's reliable and efficient. And when you're, at that level, you need to get stuff done. You need someone around you that you can say, "Oh, get this done," and you can believe and you can trust it's going to get done. And that's, I think, the idea of the honor to your duty, which sets him apart from everybody else. No matter how he feels about it, if he's got a job to do, that's his responsibility. He's going to get it done. And that's what he appreciates. And even though they are on, varying ends of the spectrum, morally speaking, that goes out the window. When you have a job to do, that's your job. And that's why I think he appreciates them. And I think Boba's able to let go of the morality of it because his higher purpose is the obligation to his duty.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that's what makes Boba an amazing character. And
These
why
problems are bigger than me. Hey, whatever, something needs to get done. I'm just a tool. I'm just a utensil.
And more than that, let's when we look at his expanded backstory, he is a person who was born in the Republic, but also born in the Republic as a slave.
Right.
Like Darth Vader, like Anakin Skywalker, that for all the glories of the Republic, he was still a slave. He was still someone who was meant to be the meat for a war machine, or whatever machine owned him at the time. His rights were limited to nothing. And so in that sense, I think they both sort of come into this world seeing the corruptness of the Republic. Because clearly there's no reason to see the Republic or the rebels who want to reconstitute the Republic as noble heroes. They're both, just people seeking to reestablish an order that did them no favors. And as stated, Mace Windu decapitated Jango Fett, his father. So clearly the Jedi are no friend of his. And this is the world that they both grew up in. There are people that have been oppressed and crushed and hurt by the old system, and that they have torn down, that they are now in this new system that is arguably no better, or at best modicumly better, and in many ways worse. They are finding their own way, and that is a neat thing. It's neat to point out that the Hutts ruled Tatooine under the Republic, and the Hutts ruled the Tatooine under the Empire. That, the Hutts continued regardless of who was in charge. And one imagines the Pikes do something similar. The Hutts and the Pikes, they're both these groups that doesn't matter who's in charge, doesn't matter who we're paying protection to via taxes or via exploitation. We just only want there to be one person we're dealing with. We just don't want to have to pay two different people. We don't want to pay a Republic and an Empire taxes. So we're going to just say, whoever's going to give us the better deal, we're going to say we're going to support you. And then the other one invariably falls,
Yeah.
Because the economy of it is, you know what? You can't build a Death Star without some spice money as it goes,
Mm-hmm.
What was your big takeaway? Yeah,
I really appreciated watching the guy who played young Boba Fett as a grown-up talking about he's showing his toys to his. I was like, oh my god, he was a tiny little kid. He's a grown man now.
Well,
that was kind of adorable.
I mean, not for nothing. There was a Law and Order recently where I realized that this character who was the event that caused their birth was in 2003. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, because an adult 19-year-old that was like, they were born in 2003. So it's it's like, a weird concept to realize. But yeah, I mean, he's a
this
grown
was the
man.
prequels. When I think back on my life, the prequels weren't that long ago. And then you're like, no, they were. They were a really long time ago. Like, this guy was just a little kid. He was like, what, 8 years old in that movie?
Yeah.
And now he's showing his toys to his, young toddler kid. It's like, my God.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. That's what makes it an interesting tale, because it's a tale that tells the breadth of a person's life. And I love the fact that they have been loyal to these actors. Tamir and the young man, and I forget his name, and I do apologize for that. But that they are, that he was the voice of young Boba Fett in the Clone Wars series, and that all the clones were voiced by Tamir. And, it's fun in the way that they do it. And I wonder if we're ever going to get flashbacks to, if they do flashbacks to a younger Boba Fett, they're just going to get the young kid to be Tamir Morrison, because as we said, Tamir Morrison is actually doing Dan Frank's voice when he's trying to be Boba Fett. So it's like, we can all do that. We can all continue on the same legacy of this character under the helmet, and that's pretty impressive,
Indeed.
That is, if we're all wearing helmets, then who knows who it's like the Dread Pirate Roberts, And the Mandalorians in general. The whole point of them all wearing the helmet is that way you don't know who the Mandalorian is. You don't know who is under the mask, but you respect the mask. And I think that is, if there's anything about the character of Boba Fett that we should take away, it is just that idea that we don't know who's under the mask, and that's the point of the mask. It is this character that expresses beyond it. Right.
We don't know who's under the helmet.
Exactly. And quite frankly, that's what the Mandalorians as a culture have relied on.
Right. That
you just saw a Mandalorian helmet. You just assumed, there were probably a lot of freshman Mandalorians that got their butt beat. So I thought you were Mandalorian. Like, I am a Mandalorian, but I just started. This was my first job, man.
Although, but I doubt the Mandalorians would let somebody go out untested, unsupported. He probably had backup. They have a name to uphold, and that reputation is important. And they're like the Spartans. Yeah. The weak ones get sent off to, wherever. Only the strong get to done. Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
Maybe you should go hang out with Luke Skywalker. I don't know.
You seem like more of a Jedi. I don't know, but you're not going to make it here. So,
but that's what makes it a really fun story.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on tonight's look back on the history of Boba Fett?
No, it's just a really cool character. And I can't wait to see what they go, where they go with the Mandalorian and how they team up again.
Yeah, I'm really excited for future Mandalorian stories. I'm also excited for future Boba Fett stories. I was very excited to see Ming-Na Wen on the latest Young Sheldon as a scientist.
Oh.
Still a total BA, because Ming-Na Wen is just always, she just walks into the room and she's the, she's like the new Lucy Liu. I'll be honest with you. Anytime you ever saw Lucy Liu in a series, you knew whatever was going to happen, it was going to be BA. Ming-Na Wen, she's a little bit older than Lucy, but quite frankly, she is like taking on that mantle of, no, everyone knows who I am. I am Ming-Na Wen, and I am here to kick butt and take names. And I love that about her. And I just want so much more with that character. And I think her dynamic with Tamir Morrison is really good. I do think it's kind of a classic smart lady, dumb guy dynamic in a little ways,
Yeah.
But I do love it. It's fun to watch. And I actually think that, and it's not to impugn Tamir Morrison in any way, but I do think that he's a guy who really believes he's got it figured out. And Ming-Na's character is just like, dude, there's so much that it's just, we can't figure out. And we just gotta get to the payday. We're just working to payday, you know? So I really hope we're going to get more Boba Fett. I hope we get a lot more Fennec Shand. And, you know, I want more Jin Djarin. And, of course,
and Grogu.
Everybody's favorite Grogu.
Finally got back together. I want to see those adventures. I'm dying for it. Let's go.
I'm waiting for Grogu. Like, I'm waiting for when we get to that point and Grogu meets Rey to teach her. Yeah, to teach her what he knows, you know, and then they're going to build that new. That's when the school gets built, because, you know, a moment for Grogu, it's a lifetime for everyone else, and he's just moving through it. He's learning his way. All right. By the way, Mozz, I'm sure you've noticed my awesome T-shirt and my amazing mug, which has it's bedazzled with the It doesn't really disappear in real life. That's just the fun of CG. But this is the Capes and Lunatics travel mug. It does have a lid if you would like to travel with it, and you can put it in there, and it keeps your hot drinks hot, keeps your cold drinks cold. I put my cold drink in this last night, and I woke up this morning, and it was still cold. Made of solid quality aluminium, as we say in the continent. And it's an amazing mug. My wife got it for me for Valentine's Day along with the t-shirt. And you too can own such things if you go to Linktree. That's linktr.ee/capes and lunatics. That's linktr.ee/capes and lunatics. One word spelled out. Go to that website. You can not only find this amazing merch, you can get the shirt in whatever color you choose. I, of course, chose the slimming black to accentuates how awesome I am. But you too can go to that location, go to the Linktree, find our links to our merch, which is plentiful, and our Patreon page, where you can give money to get exclusive content, including topless movie reviews of R-rated films. Thank you very much. As well as our current brackets for the worst superhero film of all time. Right now, Fantastic is leading the pack against Matt Selinger's Captain America. But who knows? Puma Man is in the running, and that has not even entered the fight yet. So please come, please contribute, please be a part of this journey to find whatever it is we're going to find out here. Likewise, you can call us at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. That is the line you call. You leave us a message on any pop cultural topic. We will find a podcast to put it into for people to interact with us, because we love you guys and we want you to be a part of the show. Likewise, if you want to have a more thought out conversation on what your thoughts are, you can always write to us at capesandlunatics@gmail.com. That's capes and spelled out lunatics@gmail.com. That's our email address, and you can write to us, and we would love to read your writing on the air. Mozz, if people would like to write to you, how can they do so?
Well, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once to capes and at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, write to me or follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things like Naomi, 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, like Let News of Tomorrow, 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, when I actually feel like tweeting at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIEESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, me hearties, you've come across the sargassus of the internet one more time to hear our pensive prose about the world of pop culture. Come back again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arg.